Welcome again. We are about to start the first lecture in our series in the year 2026, and I think it will be a very interesting one. I'm really looking forward to it. It is talking about resilient strategies, and we had some conversation before about the title of this lecture because at some point we thought, yeah, resilient strategies, that is being mentioned a lot in Ukrainian context. And on the one hand, after 4 or 5 years in such terrible circumstances, you don't want to be called resilient all the time, because at some point it's also an overused term. But at the same time, it's still very important to think about strategies and possibilities, how to maybe forecast also on the things to come in the future, and how to create strategies and design for the future of the country. So we will, with two presentations, look into that today. One is from Ruslan Antonenko, who is he's urban planner, urban designer, and part for already quite some time for the Roskvi team of urban planners. He will present the project, he will present also the team he has been working with in the past month, year on the project he's going to present. And afterwards we will have Maksym Terletskyi, welcome Maksym, to reflect a little bit on what he heard, but also to come with his own experience while leading Lviv City Lab, creating also their resilient strategies for Lviv. So afterwards we can compare the two strategies, we can come up with questions to both speakers, and hopefully get in a fruitful conversation with both of them. They will both present in Ukrainian, and that's important. In the bottom of your screen, you can choose the language in which you want to hear this story. So they will speak in Ukrainian, and our translator, Olena Nefodova, as always, will be our translator real-time to English or to Ukrainian in whatever language will be spoken. Afterwards, you can ask your questions. You can write them in the Q&A, but you can also raise your hand, and then we will bring you into the panel. And you can do that either in English or in Ukrainian, whatever language you choose. So let's not speak much more from my side, but give the floor first of all to Ruslan, and I'll ask you to share your screen, Ruslan.
Всем привіт. Зараз.
Right. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining. It's great to see you all today. And thank you very much for inviting me and introducing me, Lilet. True. For us Ukrainians, the key question is actually, what is sustainability, sustainable development for an industrial city in Ukraine today? And so to translate this challenge into specific steps, we need to start with the history of the city. Our team worked with the city of Kamianske, and we have done quite a lot of work with this city. We have studied the historical profile of the city. We have learned that actually Kamianske is 4 different parts, really. So which started with the steppe settlements, then Cossack settlements, and then during the 20th century, it turned into an industrial city. These were the Soviet times, the Soviet occupation, and the new times started after the Second World War, which was the period of intensified industrialization. And today we are facing the consequences of this period, the inertia, the stagnation, and the search for new perspectives. So the historical layers affect the spatial profile of Kamianske. We can see that the city is fragmented and it's used to be a number of settlements, villages really, Romankove, Karnauhivka, but we also can see that it does have this center, the core of the lower colony and the upper colony, and this is the industrial core. We need also to take into account one of the challenges, Soviet modernization, which resulted in quite inertive kind of economy. And the key challenge, as we can see it, is the search for new identity for this area, leaving behind the Soviet legacy and the search for new urban practices. But in Kamianske, we have the challenges which are not unique for Ukrainian history. There are more cities like that. Kryvyi Rih, Zaporizhia are facing similar challenges, meaning that there are resources which are used for an industrial, very quick, swift development, then Soviet monofunctionality, post-industrial crisis, and this brings us to the need to search for a new model of development. We need also to say that we need to understand the reasons for the current situation, and some of these reasons are structural, of course, caused by the collapse of the industrial chains after the USSR, loss of the markets, technological dilapidation, and the key factor is technological functionality. We saw it with our team in Kamianske, a lot of taxation, taxes revenue comes from one industry, and it is very difficult to carry on development in this way. So there are also quite a lot of spatial challenges. Local municipality lacks resources to sustain the degrading residential neighborhoods, and it, of course, results in the collapse of the prices, social risks. Sometimes the residents just abandon their places of residence. Yet another challenge, quite common for industrial cities, is the challenge of brownfields, the former industrial challenges. So here you can see the church of Saint Nicholas, which used to be the core of the Trutuzne village. And as you see, we have brownfields around it. These are the areas which cannot sustain residential neighborhoods. So another challenge is the exhausted transportation infrastructure. The Soviet paradigm was to connect the so-called dormitory neighborhoods with the industrial areas, and despite the current development, such transportation infrastructure is still dragging behind the modern needs, and it is a big burden on the municipal budget. For me, another challenge is quite interesting, and this is the challenge of reshaping former Soviet spaces according to the modern needs, like the Palace of Culture you saw on the slide. So, meaning that when we formulate the challenges, we understand that the strategy of resilience means finding ways to use the available situation, the industrial past, to build the future, which will allow us to leave monofunctionality behind. One of the examples is that we need to abandon the practice of building gigantic enterprises. We need to leave behind industrial dependence and change it for urban resilience, and which will be based upon entrepreneurship, innovations, services, logistics, creative sector, and we need to leave behind the great gigantic trains, industrial trains of the past, in favor for smaller industrial challengers. And finally, we need to leave behind this monocentric economy. So we, together with our team, created this chart, which shows us when we need to start thinking about the resilience strategy. Some people would say we need to wait till the victory, but we understand that we need to focus on the urgent needs, but start now. And we need to focus on such urgent needs with the view of sustainable future. And somewhere in between, we will have this victory. We must create a lot of scenarios when we try to approach the challenge with many solutions, both at present and in the future. So these are the steps which can be generalized as these three steps. The first is responding. Number two is rehabilitation. And number three is resilience and growth. And I would focus on resilience, not to lose everything, but growth will come together as it will. And the key topics which we looked into together with our team, of course, are safety and security. This is the key thing. Memorialization, which is a very important issue, because quite often it is absent in international solutions, mobility, accessibility. There are quite a lot of topics on this slide. I'm not going to read all of them. You all know what I'm talking about, but we need to keep them in mind when we are building the resilience strategy. And so, one of the principles how to build a resilience strategy is based upon a methodology suggested by our team, and it must bring together short-term and long-term principles on the basis formed on the basis of the needs analysis, SWOT analysis, and this strategy then will take into account the key principles, the key topics, and translate them into solutions. So the key methodology, the key method is community participation. We have done quite a lot of surveys, and we worked a lot with participation so that the strategy is not designed by professionals from above, but that it takes into account local needs. So resilience strategy is also about training and working together with the municipality. We get quite a lot of information. You can see here our colleague Vladislav, who was gathering information for this SWOT analysis, which later used by our team to formulate projects. And also it is about engaging stakeholders. We need to conduct quite a lot of interviews, and we got a lot of important things from the interviews, like lack of drainage canals on the left bank, or lack of continuous monitoring of the air quality, etc., etc. And so this must be taken into account when you formulate the strategy. This time also we decided to use emotional mapping as one of the techniques of leading towards formulation of the vision. And here the local residents had their say about the places they need to reform. As you see there in black, the green dots here indicate the spaces which shouldn't be touched as such. They are happy with them, etc., etc. So all the participation techniques led our team towards the principles for the which would serve the basis for future projects, which will again translate into the resilience strategy. We have listed these principles here. Just we can take one. This is the community of strong partnership and economically balanced community. And these principles are already linked to the goals, and the sub-goals are projects themselves, aiming to provide resilience for this community and to help it meet the challenges. And I would like to finish here with the presentation, with the quote from a focus group we conducted. One of the participants said, "Let's draw the bright future for our community and for the children together." So it was very interesting to work with this community, and thank you very much for your attention. I hope that maybe you have some questions, or should we continue with the second presentation and then the questions? What do you say?
Yeah, maybe we can take them all together, because there will also be comparisons probably in the approach towards resilience strategies. As I said earlier, Maksym has been focusing on Lviv for the last years, but before that has been working also at UN agencies, EU innovation strategies. Is that all not correct, Maksym?
No, it's maybe I will shortly introduce myself, so I will switch to Ukrainian now.
Good day, dear colleagues. Right, my name is Maksym Terletskyi, and I work in the NGO Lviv City Institute. This is an NGO focused on developing sustainable and participatory urban environments. And as far as I understand, my task today is to reflect upon the strategy designed for Kamianske community and to share their approaches used in Lviv and share their results. Yeah, I will mention this too. And I will share my experience. In Lviv, we have understood that it is very important to analyze and share the experience from other communities, especially in the situation of the full-scale war in Ukraine. And so we started the initiative Resilience Hub, which not just strengthens the resilience of the Lviv community, but also is about working with other communities. I will tell you about it a bit later. Ruslan, I would like to thank you now for the presentation. It was very interesting in terms of methodology, and we do appreciate that you have done such amount of work, and you have started building this bright future, drawing it. in the situation when Ukraine is suffering from continuous massive attacks. If we take Lviv before the full-scale war, quite a lot of strategical documents identified the development of Lviv till 2030, till 2035, etc. And today our strategy is about the way we see our community in the future. But of course, the full-scale war has affected quite drastically the implementation of the strategical goals we have formulated. And so the resilience issue is the key priority today, and planning resilience and creating the documents which allow us to strengthen the community resilience is the planning by doing principle. It's rather that we are implementing something and then checking whether it works on practice. It's a hands-on approach, and we are responding to all the issues we have to tackle, but we are also keeping in mind long-term development and to live with and to work with. So today we will discuss a bit Lviv resilience, and I would like to identify here a few messages which deal with the resilience strategy for our community. So the key challenge our community faces today is that, and it started from the first days of the war, this was the influx of the IDPs who were either using Lviv as a transitory destination or as the final destination. So we had to work with a great amount of people, and these big amount of people, they needed residence, and we started dealing with these issues before the full-scale war, but we understand that all the services in the city must be ready to deal with this influx, and so this is one of the priorities, and we carry on designing our approaches and fine-tuning our actions in this respect. Of course, we understand that part of the IDP community is going to stay in Lviv, and so we are now providing them with the long-term places of residence. So we have abandoned now the temporary housing, which we arranged in school gyms and former hostels. Now we are dealing with the need to build social housing for people who are here to stay. And so this need has prompted the idea that we need to deal with, again, social housing issues. At the same time, we understand that people need knowledge, skills, because they find themselves in a constantly changing situation. We have quite a lot of praise for the project of continuous learning, and it started before the war. It helps to integrate IDPs through training and education. And one more thing, social challenges, of course, aggravated due to the huge number and growing number of former combatants and injured combatants, because we need to deal with the rehabilitation system. And I think you have heard about it, the unbroken ecosystem. So, and here this is the issue we need to deal with to provide rehabilitation, continuous rehabilitation. And it's not only about providing support to people who need it now, but also it's about introducing innovation in the sphere, like providing for innovative processes, manufacturing, etc. And so in Lviv, quite a lot of industry is developing around this issue of rehabilitation. And besides Unbroken, we have the Superhumans Collective, we have the military hospital, and so Lviv is dealing with this topic quite actively. Another challenge for Lviv is the outflux of young people abroad. I don't know what it is, what the situation is in Kamianske, but this is the challenge for Lviv indeed. If you take the Lviv community, we do have the youth strategy for 10 years, and this is the strategy that provides comfortable situation for young people so that they either stay or come back to the Lviv community. And so we are stepping up our work with young people so that our community would have any future at all. And we understand that this year and the previous year aggravated the situation with the energy structure. There was a lot of shelling and destruction of this sector. So we are now thinking about the new concept of energy islands, small grid supply, and we need to understand how we can provide these vital services, vital power in this situation. And the last but not least challenge is international cooperation. This is one of the 7 priorities of our strategy. And so Unbroken Cities, this is the initiative which brings together more than 16 cities in the world to promote and support communities in all the processes I have outlined before, and other. So international collaboration is one of the staples for our community development. Actually, we started quite actively. We stepped up our efforts in 2022, and the result today is that we have convinced quite a lot of international organizations, including the United Nations Office for Disaster Risk Reduction and another initiative, Making Cities Resilient 2030. These organizations understand what cities are, what kind of work needs to be done to provide, to ensure resilience. And this is how we, in collaboration, we got the status of resilience hub for Lviv, and we are piloting the strategies how to respond to the threats in Ukrainian context. So we were promoting the Ukrainian context of resilience, not in terms of climate change, but rather in terms of geopolitical change. And right? And so the role of a resilient hub, I think you will see it in the presentation. I will try to share. Right. So the idea, when we got the status of Resilience Hub, we realized we need to collaborate more actively with other communities in Ukraine, and on the one hand, to import their practices. Because in Kharkiv and Zaporizhia, there are excellent practices, excellent scenarios, like in Kherson and other cities, how to respond to the situations we are living through now. And so on the one hand, to get their experience, and on the other hand, to be the hub which allows to import practices from Europe and to introduce them to Ukraine, all sorts of strategies aimed at stepping up resilience. So, and as soon as we got this status of resilience hub, we started this hub and in Lviv, and the hub now performs several functions. So it is urban resilience assessment. As of now, we have the situation that international instruments of resilience assessment are not very applicable to Ukrainian context. So UNDRR instruments are not quite applicable to Ukraine. So we are testing our own instruments, and we are testing them in March, and then we will be presenting how the instruments take into account the context of war in the context of full-scale invasion. We understand that we need new models, governance models and funding models, which can improve community resilience. Last year, during the European Resilience Forum in Rotterdam, we were discussing the creation of municipal institutions which allow for swift response in the situation of continuous threat. Quite a lot of insurance companies just flatly refused to discuss military risks, war risks, and they say that as soon as there is war, insurance doesn't work there. So this is like the gist of the discussion. But step by step, we understand we need to pool efforts of different cities. We need to think about joint instruments which will allow us to mobilize resources to support the projects which allow for the resilience to develop and allow us to fight, to respond to threats. So what we understand under resilience today, actually, like there is the local resilience forums from Great Britain, which can be adapted to Ukrainian context. Quite a lot of cities provide for resilience managers training, and they actually work directly with Stepping Up Resilience. And I don't know whether this is the correct name for it, but this is a service, one-stop shop, which we would like to strengthen in Ukraine. And only after we test the Ukrainian models, we could continue with the formulation of local portfolios. Maybe we will use public investment for that. Now we are thinking about the correct legal framework to use here, to apply here. And this will allow us just mobilize more resources if each city would have such kind of portfolio and share it with the other cities. And so we would be able to share, maybe participate in joint projects to improve resilience. And finally, to promote resilience in Ukrainian situation, we need to arrange the dialogue events between the cities. So we share our practices, our experiences, our outreach, and our in 2024-25 we had a resilience week in Lviv, hosted it in Lviv, and this is the event which promotes resilience at the political level, so that local communities will be able also to step up resilience. And so the latest Ukrainian Resilience Week was in October 2025. We have the resolution of this forum, and we forwarded it to the public government agencies. The resilience of Ukrainian cities is not only the issue relevant for Ukraine. Quite a lot of European organizations and international organizations which are collaborating with Ukraine in terms of resilience strategy and specific projects. And the key task now is to work with the Ukrainian communities, because you cannot be resilient if you just represent one isolated community. You need to work. We need to work together. This is one of the priorities. We need to reach out to other cities of Ukraine, to other communities. We need to assess resilience. We need to assess threats. We need to network. We need to provide new governance and financial models together, maybe these intermunicipal portfolios, and this will boost our resilience. Thank you very much. I apologize if I have been talking for too long, but here are the contacts of my colleagues, and we are very open and ready to share.
No, Maxime, don't apologize. Was really nice to hear your two talks, because they were really, I think, helping each other, let's say. And what I heard,
somehow to connect them both.
yeah, in a nice way. And what I overall, when listening to the two of you, of course, the floor is open for all kind of questions from the audience. So please put things in the Q&A or raise your hand. But before that, I have one to maybe both of you, because what I heard, we are talking to urban planners, thinking about the urban futures, but both of you mentioned the huge importance of, let's say, managing people in the sense of redefining industry. In Ruslan's talk, there was a lot of emphasis on economy, on how to get away from the big mono-functional industries and create this new kind of entrepreneurial world. And also, you, Maxime, put a lot of emphasis on how to keep the population also in the city in terms of course, Lviv is dealing a lot with IDPs, but at the same time, also people who are using it to cross the border and go to other European countries. So in both cases, how to keep the city economical, viable, and livable and interesting, actually, for people to come first to make a living, but also to live there in convenient circumstances and in a pleasant way. Those are very big issues to deal with, and from both of you, from urbanistic point of view, can you mention a few of your strategies that you came up with on how to deal with those issues as an urbanist? I think a lot of people in our audience are asking that question, and I realize it's a super difficult one. So it's not an easy one. But Ruslan, maybe you can start in getting some of your findings.
Добре.
Okay.
Коротка відповідь.
Right. Short response, yes, it is difficult. On the other hand, yes, it is possible if you break a very complex issue into, as urbanists call it, layers, or you break it into a series of steps, like to understand that in 10 years we resolve the issue of the population drain, and then the social part will become more stable in our community. So yes, we can break it into smaller issues, and then it will be possible. But now we do need to resolve the problem of the brain drain and the population drain. I just mentioned it. I didn't focus on it, but it is very difficult to talk about a big industrial city issues within 20 minutes. So I tried to bypass this issue. But yes, there are challenges, and it is very difficult to deal with the population outflux. And in our research, we focused on economy, and we understood that when we leave behind the monofunctionality of an industrial city like Zaporizhia, Kryvyi Rih, Kamianske, then if we leave it behind, then you can build this space which will be welcoming to people and which will keep people in the city. Later, we need to continue with the third place. Besides work and home, we need to build the social component. We understand that Lviv has quite a lot of museums, theaters, and the cultural life there is thriving. When we started Kryvyi Rih, it was very difficult to find this social life there. Yes, it was there, but for the people, it was not the priority. They would not mention it. And I agree here with Mr. Maksym that Mr. Terletskyi, that we need to approach such issues not within an isolated community, but through networking of several communities, because the issues Vinnytsia is facing are quite the same issues faced by Zaporizhia. On the other hand, Zaporizhia is facing quite a lot of military risks. When we were doing this strategy for Zaporizhia, sponsored by GIZ, we identified the key risks as being the military risks, and now we can see the situation is aggravating. This is what I have to say in short. I would like then to pass the floor to Mr. Terletskyi. True, the issue is quite complex, and we have been working quite a lot. And yes, the answer is, in short, we need to keep the people we have as much as we can, because we are losing people every day. And we need to work here as the city, as the community, through supporting our servicemen, servicewomen, through providing safety in our cities, and then it will keep the people, will be one of the levers allowing us to keep the people in the city. The second thing is that support is paramount, and so to have our people stay in Lviv, we need to support their needs. We need to provide, for instance, mobility, because some trauma is physical, some trauma is mental, and we must be very caring in our urban planning. We need to make urban space accessible in all senses of this word, in all meanings of this word. And so we need to provide services to people who need them. And so I would say these are the first two steps. Another thing is to provide training and education, and we need to start early. We need to start with primary school and then continue through to higher education. And Korean experience is very useful here, I think, because Korea provided on the constitutional level continuous education for its citizens, and this boosted economic growth and development. And so it is quite obvious that when we have some people and we have them qualified, then this is the resource for the development of economy, business, entrepreneurship, and this can be an impetus for those who emigrated to come back. So, of course, in parallel, we need to work with young people and we need to motivate them to stay in Ukraine, to stay in their communities, to have families here, and to relieve the demographic burden we are witnessing today. When we were making the demographic forecast for the Lviv community, the results were not optimistic. The full-scale war, on the one hand, stimulated a big influx of IDPs to Lviv, but even more people left. And so the trend is, and we have traced it, that our population is shrinking and going to shrink further on. So the components, the planning by doing strategy is taken into account, well, keep us hopeful that maybe we will try to remedy this trend and we will try to contribute to the growth of the city, or at least stop its shrinking. Something like that.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, you were mentioning already in your strategy the connection to the youth and the younger people, and I think indeed that is a very, very important element for all Ukrainian cities to immediately start there, even younger than universities, but at high schools, to get them into professions that are also future professions for the country. We have quite some questions now. They are in different channels, so I'll take one from was posted in the chat, and that is about the construction of long-term housing in Lviv. Is that at the moment something that has been worked on a lot, or is that in consideration, and how difficult is that indeed when you don't know how many you should provide?
Actually, I believe our colleagues from the Department of Architecture and Urban Planning would be more competent here, but the open data about the social housing development in Lviv say that, it's moving on. Yesterday, maybe the day before yesterday, we had the opening ceremony of one of the centers of social housing for such people. But another case is social housing for people who are undergoing rehabilitation. If we take Lviv, this is a long-term rehabilitation process. People need many months of rehabilitation work, and it means that the person, him or herself, and their family need a place to live in. And so this is the Lviv model of social housing, and the first batch of the social housing has already been built. So we had architectural competitions for the first and the second phase. But architectural competition resulted in a selected project, the winner, and presently it is under construction. The first batch, as I said, is already commissioned. Then we also continue this project, and we've got co-funding from international donors. So the process goes on. The social housing is being built in the north of Lviv, where the ecosystem of all the rehabilitation services is concentrated. So the procedure is, first we get the funding, then we secure, after the funding is secured, architectural architectural competition is organized, then the project is selected and it is being implemented. This kind of housing is long-term housing, and I think it is, if I'm not mistaken, it is the housing that is being rented. So this is the model. I don't remember the number of apartments, but according to the intentions, it's at least 500 apartments, family apartments. So this is my data.
Thanks. There are several questions, but there are two that go back in the line that we were discussing before. So I would like to come back to that. It's again about population, but it goes a bit deeper into it. So the question is, if you see this democratic crisis as one of the key factors in recovery and in how to get back to that, since you both emphasized it in your talk, beyond the forced migration and the war-related casualties, Ukraine also has before that a longer-term decline in birth rates. So in the very long run, there might be a shortage of human capital, and that is also very much needed, of course, for the reconstruction and everything related to that and the renewal of the industries. Do you or did you consider, maybe this is first to Ruslan, when you were thinking about those strategies, also consider influx of people from other countries as part of a solution for that?
Дякую за запитання.
Thank you very much for your question. Really, we didn't consider that a lot because it's more about it being speculative as a strategy. We were operating the data we have as of now. Yes, if you consider it as a future scenario, it is possible, but presently we're focused on the needs of the community members, of the residents, and so what kind of services, what kind of comfort we need to provide when the former combatants return, veterans return from the war. And I think Lviv is one of the best cases in Ukraine. Unfortunately, we cannot say the same about Kamianske. Yes, we need to work a lot there, but I'm not ready to say about the international workforce. I haven't seen it in the strategies yet.
Did you, Maksym? Did you consider it in thinking?
Actually, I am sitting now in the market square in Lviv, and quite next to me there are streets like Old Ruska, Old Armenian, Old Jewish streets. So historically, Lviv has always been a multicultural hub. In 2007, when we were starting the competitiveness strategy, which is now the driver for many positive transformations in Lviv, like Euro 2012, this was the strategy. So I am rather inclined to see the transformation of a city to make it attractive, appealing to different cultures, including foreign cultures, international cultures, is possible. And yeah, we are welcome into many countries, and Ukraine as a state itself is quite open to many nationalities, to many peoples, and this must be taken into account. If we take the case of Lviv, of the Lviv community, I think that our city is very ambitious. We would like to become one of the centers of Europe, and then we will be the gravitation point for many people coming from our closest neighbors, from Poland, from Slovakia, from Romania, and other neighboring countries. So yes, we have already solid foundation to build upon, to shape the role of the city as a city open to the world, and we would like to stay this kind of city.
Interesting, nice. Some other questions. Xulan is asking, first of all, thank you for sharing and thank you for the lectures. And then she is wondering how digital transformation, AI, sensors, IoT is taking place in building resilient cities. So how much has that been considered, or maybe not yet at all? Is that any part of your work has been in the role of those digital transformations?
I think I will start, if I may.
Yeah, for sure.
Actually, we discussed it and we studied it because we all understand to control the future, to manage the future, we need to use up-to-date technologies. And of course, the research and integration of any kind of public space needs to be done with the use of digital tools. In Kamianske, we were shaping the survey, we were doing the survey, and we found out that people are concerned with such issues as neutralization of radioactive storage, for instance. This was what they were concerned with. But it means that we didn't focus on it too much, but digitalization is one of the aspects of the resilient future. This is a short answer. Maybe Mr. Terletskyi has a longer answer. Yeah, actually, this is a broad topic, and we can talk a lot here. But I am a proponent of digital technologies, and in planning and in urban planning as such. And so we actually once even tried to promote AI application in community discussions and decision making. We have had such an experience, and we understand that even if we talk about European integration, means that we are working towards digital Europe, and this is one of the, I think, 4 priorities of the European Union, and so we cannot lag behind. We need to develop these technologies and to apply these solutions. When we're talking today about planning, as I said, I mentioned population, I mentioned also forecasting. When we talk about the data we are getting data from mobile operators, from huge databases, from our service centers, etc. And we're using, of course, applying digital technologies to process such data. When we're talking about planning, actually we tried to test the scenery instrument, allowing to gather information from the local residents and then use AI to process it and then to share the products with the architects so that they could introduce it into their solutions. So, yeah, talking about building technologies, we did test 3D printing in Lviv. It is very promising, but somehow took quite a lot of time. So we will need to work with it more. More efficient technology is prefab technology. It is much, much swifter, of course. This is when we are talking about technology. I don't know why, but 3D printing is associated with digitalization in my mind. But we are currently working on an application which allows for improved communication between the residents and with the residents so that we could understand their needs. And of course, digitalization is about openness. It's about transparency of many processes. For instance, we have introduced the electronic ticket for public transportation, and this has changed the approaches to mobility planning drastically. So now we understand that we are dealing with quite different inputs. Our colleagues are working with the waste management system, and they are working to introduce an operator which will provide maximum transparency. And transparency means investment, because quite a lot of processes in Ukraine are rather opaque. We do not understand what's going on. And the digitalization allows us to explain how it is happening. And this is a step forward, and it means resources, funding from our partners, from financial institutions, and this means new projects. So definitely digitalization is the future, and we are now preparing a Western Ukrainian Digital Innovation Hub agreement, and this is one of the things which will be conducive to business development and the implementation of digitalization of business. So to put it plainly, it will be a great tool to develop our businesses.
Yeah, and what you say in terms of data collection, especially at this moment, it's really important, of course, for demography, but for every tool or all data needed to come up with a plan in the first place. Digitalization can be highly effective, I think. Maybe that is connected because it's also connected to education, and that is a question. Do you have experience in collaborating with Ukrainian educational institutions like universities in the activities you do related to the sustainable urban development, and what do those collaborations look like? In what way are you working together in your efforts? And again, a question to both of you, I guess.
Or should I first?
You can start. Yeah.
City Institute, as a communal entity of Lviv municipality, has a Commission, which is titled Uniting Efforts of Businesses, Citizens, Academics, and local organizations to reach city strategical goals. And this mission actually outlines our responsibility to collaborate with universities, with research centers, both in Lviv and outside. We will start with our universities. When we are talking about urban planning, this is quite an issue. When I just started to work in City Institute in 2016, we had a project started on street planning, Street Pro. And this was the street, about the street, which is the street for Lviv Polytechnical Institute. And then we engaged the students very actively in the participatory process. And it laid the foundation of transformation, because we understood that you cannot rely on expert solutions which are taken in some studies somewhere. We need to approach academic communities, and when we saw that there is a lot of interest, we understood that we need to enliven this interest and support it with knowledge, like it is in Europe. And so we proposed City Makers Course 1, City Makers Course 2nd iteration. We collaborated with German institutions, with the Strasbourg School of Architecture in France, so as we could show the European approach to urban planning. And quite a lot of people graduated from these courses, from these trainings, and we also joined initiatives initiated by the academic community, and because they have a good network with the University of Europe, and so quite often they are tackling city issues. It is a very positive story, this collaboration, because every time you start a collaboration, you get a new vision of a city block, of a street, etc. Now we are introducing the test planning mechanism in the north of Lviv, where different teams are collaborating to find solutions, urban planning solutions for the northern part of Lviv. We also support the architectural competitions, urban forums, public discussion of architectural ideas and urban planning ideas. And so this is all about Lviv cohort of architects. But of course, the Horizon Europe program, they are all about consortiums. So it's all about networking, it's all about partnerships, so that we could together create something innovative, something new, which can be integrated into the city space. And so this means primarily academic collaboration with academic institutions, and this boosts the opportunities. This increases them a lot.
Well, Ruslan, I know Roskvit is also having quite some academic connections both in Ukraine and outside. But with this Kamianske, or maybe one of the other projects, can you elaborate a bit on it?
Unfortunately, Kamianske project was very short, and so it was very quick, and there were quite a lot of unknown factors there. So we didn't collaborate with universities, and we understand that to make a student project, collaboration with the students and with the academics successful, we need to invest quite a lot of time. Unfortunately, for Kamianske, we had just 6 months. And during this time, we managed to conduct this survey, to engage the stakeholders, and to adapt a methodology which we had designed previously for Dnipro and Zaporizhia, there to Kamianske. So we did have capacity building together with the municipality, and we used our Urban Coalition for Ukraine, Rosquit, to train the municipality agents. So this was the idea behind our grant, but in the future, I think it is very promising to engage students. It always improves the quality of the results, and the results are quite unexpected, and it is so good. As a professional, I love it because as a professional, you always move in a planned way, you know which your next step is. But as soon as you engage young people, you get fresh solutions, you get unexpected solutions. Like in Kryvyi Rih, Lilet, maybe you remember, we engaged Dutch students in this project. And so I think it is a great experience, and we are planning to continue it.
Yeah, and I think you see your own team member in Kamiansk already so professional, but actually he is, Vlad is coming from Kiev School of Economics and started as an intern at Rosquit. So there are, within Rosquit and the urban planning teams that we have and the way of thinking, there's a lot of capacity building going on different levels. The one is, or different levels is not the right word, different target groups. One is the Ruslan already mentioned, with municipalities and municipal teams. Always there is this attempt or effort to really collaborate and not come with a plan from our side and then just say, here's the plan, but really develop it together with the municipalities and then also exchange knowledge in doing so. Another strand of the capacity building project program of Rosquit is directly targeted to young professionals. So coming just from universities and developing themselves in the direction of urban planning. And we do that now in 2-3 programs, but are more and more connecting it to the work at the universities, because in the universities themselves, like KNUBA, like Kiev School of Economics, Kharkiv School of Architecture, they are all developing in a very rapid pace urban design programs that were not that before. So the whole urban planning, urban design departments in universities are growing rapidly, and I think it's a very good development and a very important one to see in the future of Ukraine. So that's one addition to this issue of the university connections. And of course, the one Maksym mentioned, the outside universities, outside Ukraine, can be very interesting as well, as indeed we work with the Dutch students on Kryvyi Rih. We have room for a few more questions. We have one from Kala Kornienko in the Q&A. And that is a question directly to you, Ruslan. It's about the people of Kamianske and what they see, because you did a lot of interviews. What do they see as the most pressing environmental issues that they really concern about now?
Насправді це було номер один.
Actually, this was number one. This was the issue number one. People are very concerned and they say that from the start of the full-scale war, the number of monitoring stations has dropped, and the local residents believe that the authorities try to hide the real ecological situation. But we, of course, see that to build a good strategy, we need three parties to be connected. We need the residents to be heard, and we need the municipality to be heard, and we need to get collaboration between these two. We understand that in 2019, according to the data, Kamianske was the most polluted city in Ukraine. Afterwards, due to the fact that the plant Dnipro nitrogen stopped working, the quality of air has improved a bit. But we understand that Kamianske is an industrial city, and so unfortunately, the community has no resources to recycle and reprofile the enterprises and to recycle the industrial waste. So the community has no resources. The national government needs to step in. Thank you very much.
I need some translation help. Is the translation in the chat, is that the question of Orest in the Q&A, which is in Ukrainian?
I think I can read it in Ukrainian, so in English. So okay. So the question from Orest is the following. As far as he understands, your city resilience has three priorities: social, economic, and ecological. Can you please formulate specific strategical solutions for your cases according to these priorities? For instance, what kind of houses to build, what materials to use, how to provide for jobs, and how to provide for green reconstruction in Ukraine in general.
A big one.
Answer this question.
In the context of Lviv, if we look at this synergy between the ecological, economical, and social aspects in the transformation processes of today, I would start with the ecosystem of care. This is all about the social aspect. I have mentioned it already. We need to provide for this policy of care in the community, care of the people who are very vulnerable and who are the key customers for our efforts. So it is very difficult to discuss economic prospects without it. And so we also need to consider the issue of education, of retraining, and lifelong monitoring. So maybe it's not exactly an answer to the question what kind of houses to build, but rather it is an answer to the question what we need to focus on as the foundation and the basis for further economic growth. When we start talking about the economic growth, Then let us talk about green recovery. What works? The situation in our city says that we need to build fast, and so timber construction is a solution here which proved its worth. And so this allows timber construction, allows using prefab wooden material to build very quickly. This is in terms of economic development. Energy sector is the key priority for Ukraine today. And it is quite clear that our reconstruction, our transformation in Ukraine for years to come will be linked very intimately with energy reconstruction. We need to choose the small grids. We need small-scale grids. We need to choose local alternative sources of energy. Not always it is going to be renewable energies, but we are striving to provide for the most energy efficiency as we can, and using the local energy sources locally most intensively, because the energy sector is one of the key vulnerabilities for Ukraine now. So, and this will need a lot of qualified jobs to be filled, and this will be something that outlines the development of Ukraine in the future. Also, when we talk about ecology, about environment, on the one hand, the war affected the environment very much. On the other hand, from the point of view of resilience, the issue of ecology is a burning issue. In winter, it's about extreme snowfall. We need to get ready for that. We are aware that the climate change is here. It is here to stay, and we must be resilient. We must be adapted. We must prepare for it and live with it. Lviv is preparing for extreme high temperatures in summer through very active research. We are researching the we are researching the situation with the grants we have won, actually, and we are working on climate resilience of Lviv and adaptability of Lviv to climate change. But the key priority here will be the development of the blue-green infrastructure, the water economy, and adaptability of Lviv to the extreme changes of the microclimate in our area. So for us, it is also important here when we are discussing ecology and the environment, it's not only about the community. Here we must think in the categories not even of a region, because when we are talking about Lviv, in the north we have the forests, and in the south we have the Carpathians. So when we are discussing Lviv, we need to practice quite different approaches in terms of climate change. But we must pool our efforts with our neighboring communities, which can be facing certain threats, like the functional zone of the city is already quite big. And so for us, it is important for people to be able to get to the downtown area in time. So, I mean, public transportation must be working smoothly. So for this, we need collaboration, and this will also lead to Lviv agglomeration will be an answer to the climate challenges too, because we need to network with our neighbors so that we could resolve these ecological issues, including ecological issues, together and more.
Ruslan, you want to add elements to this?
Так, хочу трошки додати
I would
стосовно
like to add a bit. Our experience
стратегію робили в Кам'янському.
Of drafting the strategy for Kamianske,
Запит від пана Ореста.
I am actually answering the question from Mr. Orest. We were not thinking about building specific houses because it's a different scale. We were having a more meta view of the situation, so that the municipality and the community itself would use the NEB principles, New European Bauhaus principles, so that as to prevent, for instance, in terms of ecology, the infinite number of landfills. Maksym talked about networking and agglomerations. We also discussed this issue in Kamianske in terms of waste management, for instance. But not every community would like to have a waste management plant there. And so there is quite a lot of logistic issues here. It's about collaboration, but we can see, instead of collaboration, we can see competition between the community and the municipality. So we need to work together, and we need to prepare conditions for that, so that we could approach such problems at the regional level, so that we could resolve them efficiently. As far as I remember, in Kamianske, this bridge across the Dnipro is needed, but it is not possible to build it because the community doesn't own the space, and so we need to collaborate with the neighboring community so that we can connect the right bank with the left bank. So yes, quite a lot of challenges are like that, and yeah, we need to network and collaborate to build back better. But in Rosquit, we have yet another project, which is a project concerning panel houses. And this is about recycling and reuse of materials. And it's about renovating houses in Lviv. So follow on us. Mr. Orest, yes, I think we can give you some good examples. Yeah, and I also remember there was one more good practice. I think this new European Bauhaus approach is very interesting in terms of how to renovate housing. And in Lviv, we have a case. This is temporary housing for pregnant mothers, and it is called, the project is called Unbroken Mothers. And the area of and the project itself got the prize for the best project in terms of social economic transformation. It was the prize from New European Bauhaus. And for instance, an area which is accumulating rainwater in ponds, and this allows it to maintain the water balance for a broader territory. Actually, the project itself, these Unbroken Mothers, is about social aspects, ecological aspects, and we can actually see quite a lot of benefits in this project in all spheres.
Thank you. I see it's 1 minute before the time we are supposed to end our lecture. So I think we should stop here, although I do feel there's a lot more to talk about. So maybe we have to continue these kind of talks. And I really appreciate also the questions from the audience and the engagement and the involvement that shows actually the broadness of issues where you have to deal with, and really thank you for your insights and experience here, and first of all for doing this work, because I think it's enormously important, and it shows how Ukraine at this moment is not just dealing with putting back a house or putting back a building, but really thinking about like how do we create a country that that is durable and sustainable in the future, and in a much longer future on every aspects of it, and to integrate all those aspects and still have the stamina and the endurance to do so. So I just want to thank you for that. Thanks for the audience. Thanks for your talks. Olena, thanks again for this fast head of yours to be able to translate it to all of us. Hope to see you in the next lecture. Stay tuned on the announcement for them. There is on the website of Roskvit, there is one button in which you can click on to be member of the newsletter and stay informed on those lectures and other activities. There is another one leading to the YouTube channel in which also these lectures will be there in both languages, but also all the previous ones if you want to are interested in some of the topics. Thanks again, and have a safe and good night. I hope for that. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
До побачення всім.